Hello, good day to one and all. This is Miss A. Krishna Sundar, Assistant Professor, Department of English, KAHM, Unity Women's College, Mancheri. Today we would be discussing academic journals, which is again a part of knowledge resources on net. So, what do you mean by the term academic journals? I'm sure that you might have heard a lot about this term academic journals, especially from academicians or maybe from your teachers too. An academic journal is also known as a peer reviewed journal. So, we have to understand initially what a peer reviewed journal is. Now, what exactly is a journal? A journal, as we all know, will contain a set of articles by different individuals. So, all these articles will be put together into one single book, which is known as a journal. So, these articles would be basically written by individuals. And these articles written by these individuals will be evaluated by a set of experts. And that kind of a collection of articles is what we call as a peer-reviewed journal, which means it is written by a research scholar. And secondly, that article would be evaluated by a number of experts in that particular field, which means this article will be having a certain quality. It won't be below the bar, which means that it would retain some kind of academic quality. So, if an article gets published in a peer reviewed journal, it is a kind of prestige, which means that it is clear that your article will hold some academic quality. And as you all know, journals come in different categories, which means if you have written an article in English literature, you cannot publish that article in a science journal. So for science, it is different. Now, again, if you talk about English literature, again, there are journals with a lot number of subcategories like cultural theory related journal is there. Again, literary criticism based English literature journals would be there. Sometimes literature and films, sometimes literature connected with music, literature connected with sports. So there can be different subcategories too within one discipline itself. So a journal is basically related to a particular discipline. And these published articles can come in two forms. Either it can be in the print form as a book, or it can be an online version. It will be either a new research area or it can be a critique of an existing area. Critique means a critical work. So either it can be something new and original, or sometimes it can be an extension of the already existing work. So whatever it may be, it would be an original research. So something fresh, something new. Sometimes it can be review articles, sometimes it can be book review. So whatever it may be, it would be fresh and new, something which is written by a scholar. There is also another category which is known as non-peer reviewed journals. So sometimes it's like a professional magazine. So another thing is that sometimes if a journal comes without peer review, we should not understand that the journal's quality is less. So there is nothing like that. If a journal is with peer review or if a journal is without a peer review, that is not something which actually dictates the quality of the journal. So ultimately the quality depends on the kind of articles which would be published within that journal. So mostly with academic journals, we can say it would be scholarly publications. And as we have already discussed, it comes in different forms. There are humanities journals, science journals, again, journals which are particularly categorized for certain areas too. So I just would like to take you towards a picture which includes a different variety of various kinds of journals. You can see the very first one, it's related with personal psychology, and then you can see there is applied psychology, the one in green color. You can see on the left hand side the red colored one, it is learning and education. Again, you can see the blue and the white one just below that, it is business psychology. Again, with the yellow border, you can see it is something related with management. And on the right hand side, red, you can see it is something based on leadership quality. So they are all coming from different varieties or from different subcategories. So just because it is psychology, it doesn't mean that there is only one single journal with psychology. No. It can be psychology and children. It can be psychology within workspace. It can be psychology and women. It can be psychology and movies. So lots and lots of things as subcategories can come there. Sometimes it can be psychology and literature. So all these options are possible. So there are a variety of journals that you can see around today. So now I'm going to take you specifically to some literature-oriented journals because that is what we need ultimately. So the first one is International Journal on Studies in English Language and Literature. So language and literature means definitely it is involved even with linguistics. The second one, Journal of Literature and Aesthetics. So that's a special number which is focusing on Indian Dalit literature. So sometimes there are certain general journals, but with each volume they would be specifying some topic. For example, the first volume would be something about cultural studies. The second volume would be something related with science fiction movies. So something like that. They come with different areas for different volumes. Again, taking you to some other journals. This is English Studies, a journal of English language and literature. Again, this is Journal of English Literature and Cultural Studies. So see, these are all journals in literature, but again, they come in different categories. So now I would like to take you to one of my personal articles so that you will get an idea how it works. So this is actually titled as Smart Moves Journal, and I have actually given an article here, and the title of my article is The Frozen Manifestations and Analysis of Christopher Nolan's Women Characters in Interstellar. So this is about Christopher Nolan, the director, and his movie Interstellar. So I have written an article based on this in this particular journal. So they have selected this, and right now if you go to Google and if you search the title, The Frozen Manifestations, okay, you will get to see that you will be forwarded towards the Smart Moves journal. So again, if you can see a link here, can you see that HTTPS? You can see the DOI here. Now if you click that, you will get into the article. So this is my full article. You can see the name here. My name is there. Now this is actually an article which is co-authored with another person. So you can see the other person's name, that is Dr. Nila. So you can see both of us together wrote this article. So it's a combined article. So both the names are there. And then you can see abstract. If you go down, you can see the rest of the details, the entire article. So this is what you call as an article. Now, here comes the next question. How do you know whether a journal is a very good journal or whether a journal is just an ordinary journal? How would you categorize that? An academic journal's prestige is actually established over time. Now, if you look at some British journals, there are certain journals which is running as for the 70th year or the 80th year, which means that there have been some journals which started a century ago or a century before. So it is actually established, the prestige is established based over time. And in social science journals that's relating with humanities, impact factor is considered. Now, have you heard of this term, impact factor? So how is the impact factor calculated? Now, impact factor means the overall citation from the articles in a journal. I'm sure that all of you might be knowing about citation because you're doing your project now. So you might be familiar with what you mean by the term citation. What is citation? Citation is when you are quoting from someone else's work. You are using someone else's work, two or three lines written by some person. You are quoting those lines in your work, which means you will have to write their name. You will have to show the acknowledgement. You will have to cite that I have taken this line from such and such a person's book or such and such a person's article. So imagine, just I'm taking you back to the previous slide. I've told you this is my article published in this particular journal. Imagine if there are many people who are quoting from this particular article of mine. Just like that, there would be many articles within the journal. If there are so many people referring to these articles and if there are so many people quoting from these articles, the number of citations from this journal would increase, which means a lot of articles in one journal, if those articles are cited and quoted by a lot of other people, automatically the prestige of this journal will increase. I hope you got the point, which means that the impact factor is actually determined by the number of citations, which means, what do you mean by citation ultimately? It means that a lot of people are checking one particular journal. So that itself is something as you call as prestigious. So if a lot of people are checking one particular journal and if they are citing from the articles of that journal, the journal automatically becomes popular. And that's how the impact factor increases. Now, this impact factor comes in a value like 4.5, 5.5, 7.5, etc. So, if the impact factor is high, it means that this journal is used by a number of people. A number of people are actually looking at this journal, and that is why citation is increasing. So, coming to the next part, academic journals and new trends. Now, as you can see, internet has revolutionized everything in this world, and with the current corona situation we can say that everything is happening online. So there are lots of journals, as we can call them, as open access journals. Now the one which I showed you right now, that is an open access journal. That is why I told you, even if you go to Google and search the frozen manifestations, and if you write Christopher Nolan's movie Interstellar, you will get access to my article. Now these kind of journals are what you call as open access journals. But there are some journals which will not give you an open access. They will only show the first 2-3 lines of the abstract. If you want to read the entire article, you will have to subscribe it. Sometimes you will have to pay money. So these individual articles, many individual articles which are coming in these kind of journals are accessible through Google Scholar. I'm sure Google Scholar is a term which has become very commonly used in the current scenario. And this is actually a place where individuals can upload their articles and others can download the very same article. So just like YouTube, where you can download as well as upload. So it is actually an area where these kind of scholarly exchanges can be made. So coming to some of the important humanities journals. Now there are certain journals based on certain areas like archaeological prospection, that's related with archaeology. There is Journal of International Development, Public Administration Development, American Literary History. Again, there is comparative literature. Now that's again connected with our area. There is essays and criticism, literary imagination, science fiction studies. Now the last ones are definitely connected with literature, but you can see the earlier ones, they are journals from other disciplines. So there are lots of examples given in your textbook. For each category, they have given you lot number of examples. So I'm not going through all those details because it's there very clearly written in your text. So please go through that and study at least one or two names in connection with all these categories. But most importantly, you will have to concentrate with literature-oriented journals. Again, this is something related with music and philosophy. So for music, you have what you call as gamut. Then there is Journal of Music Theory Spectrum, perspectives of new music, etc. And then comes philosophy and ethics, business ethics quarterly, contemporary pragmatism, ethical perspectives, teaching philosophy, etc. Again, there are so many academic journals which are coming under different disciplines and category. Social science journals are there, education and educational technology journals are there, science journals are there, geography, history, law, political science, sociology, etc. So they all come in different varieties. And suppose if you are going to write about, for example, disability literature, suppose if you are going to talk about disability literature, you can search and find certain journals which are connected with those areas. Again, if you are talking about feminism and movies, if you search Google, you will come across certain journals which are having the very specific titles like feminism connected with movies. So according to the research area that you are into, you can actually choose the journal and you can decide where to publish your article. So this is all about academic journals. So with this, we come to the end of the session. If you're having any queries or any suggestions, feel free to connect with me. So here is my email ID. So thanks a lot. Thanks for your patient listening. So meet you again soon. Thank you.